I hadn't seen my mother in 15 years when her text message lit up my phone one rainy Chicago afternoon. Liam, it's Mom. I'm in town. We need to talk about why I left and about the man you're with, Noah. The truth will change everything. My hands shook as I read it again, the words blurring through the sudden sting in my eyes. 15 years of wondering, of building walls around the hole she left, and now this. Noah was at work, probably sketching designs in his downtown studio, oblivious to the storm about to hit our carefully constructed life together. I typed back a single word. When? Her reply came instantly. Tomorrow. The cafe on Michigan Avenue, 2 p.m. Please come, son. The next day, the city buzzed around me as I walked the wet sidewalks, my mind racing through every possible scenario. Had she heard about us through some distant relative? Was she sick? The cafe was warm, filled with the scent of fresh coffee and the low hum of conversations. I spotted her immediately at a corner table. Her hair was grayer, her face lined with years I hadn't shared, but those blue eyes were the same as in my childhood memories. She stood up slowly when she saw me, her hands clutching a worn purse. Liam, she whispered, her voice cracking. We didn't hug. Felt too soon, too raw. I sat down across from her, ordering a black coffee to have something to hold on to. She started with small talk that felt forced. The weather, how Chicago had changed since she last visited. Then she stopped, looking down at her hands. I know I don't deserve to be here. Leaving you at 13 was the hardest thing I ever did. Your father. He made it impossible to stay. But it wasn't just about him being hard on you for being different. My stomach tightened. She knew. Of course she knew. I'd come out to my parents that year, right before she vanished. The fights, the silence, the way Dad looked at me like I was broken. Mom, if this is about me being gay, I don't need your apology now. I've built a life. With Noah. Her eyes widened slightly at his name, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned in. It's bigger than that, Liam. The night I left, I found something in your father's desk. Letters. Not to me. To another man from our town. I froze, the coffee cup halfway to my lips. My father, the man who preached traditional values, who dragged me to church every Sunday after I told them about my crush on the neighbor boy. Impossible. She continued softly, her voice steady but pained. He was fighting his own demons. The pressure got to him. He blamed you to cover his shame. I tried to protect you, but I was scared too. Scared of what the town would say. Scared of losing everything. The words hung between us. I wanted to yell, to demand why she didn't take me with her. Instead, I sat there, the weight of years pressing down. We talked for hours that afternoon, piecing together fragments. She had moved to California, started over. But she never stopped thinking about me. As the cafe emptied, she reached across the table. There's more about Noah. His family. They were connected to all this. My heart stopped. Noah? How? The conversation ended with a promise to meet again soon. I left the cafe feeling like the ground had shifted beneath me. That evening, Noah came home to our apartment overlooking the lake, his smile fading when he saw my face. Babe, what's wrong? I couldn't tell him everything yet. Not until I understood. We ate dinner in tense silence, my mind replaying Mom's words. The secret about Dad was already cracking open old wounds. If there was more involving Noah, I wasn't sure our relationship could survive it. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if the family I thought I knew had been a lie all along. The next morning, I decided to dig into the past myself before the next meeting with Mom. I called an old friend from Ohio, someone who might remember the rumors. The call confirmed my worst fears. There had been whispers about my father and a man named Richard, Noah's uncle. The pieces were starting to connect in ways that terrified me. By evening, the anxiety had built into a knot in my chest. Noah noticed, pulling me into a hug. Whatever it is, we face it together. His words were meant to comfort, but they only made the coming revelation feel heavier. I knew the truth was coming, and it would test everything we had built. The second meeting with Mom happened 2 days later in a quiet park near the lakefront. She looked more composed this time, carrying a small photo album. "I want you to see who I was before everything fell apart," she said, opening it to pictures of us as a family. But the warmth faded as she turned the pages. "Your father wasn't the man I thought I married. After you told us about liking that boy at school, he panicked. Not just because of you, because it mirrored his own struggles." She handed me a faded letter. The handwriting was Dad's, addressed to Richard, Noah's uncle. It spoke of confusion, guilt, and a love he could never admit in our small Ohio town. "I found these the night I left. He threatened to send you to one of those camps if I stayed and supported you. I thought leaving would force him to face himself, but I was wrong. I should have taken you with me." Tears stung my eyes as anger and sadness collided. All those years I blamed myself for being gay, thinking my identity had torn the family apart. Now, the truth was that Dad's hidden life had been the real fracture. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I asked, my voice breaking. She wiped her eyes. "I was ashamed. Ashamed I couldn't protect you. Ashamed of the secrets I kept. But there's something else, Liam. When I moved away, I kept tabs through old friends. That's how I learned about Noah. His last name is the same family. Richard was his uncle. Noah grew up hearing parts of the story. He knew who you were when you met in Chicago." The world tilted. Noah, my Noah, the man who had been my anchor for 3 years, he had known. The coincidences suddenly felt like calculations. Our meeting at the art gallery opening, the way he asked about my hometown. It all clicked in a horrifying way. "He never said a word," I whispered. Mom nodded sadly. "He probably wanted to protect you from the pain. Or maybe he was scared it would change how you saw him." I stood up abruptly, the park spinning around me. This was the unbelievable part. The man I loved had been carrying this family secret like a hidden bomb. I left Mom there, promising to call later, and walked aimlessly through the city streets. By the time I got home, Noah was cooking pasta, humming to himself. The normalcy felt like a betrayal now. "We need to talk," I said, my tone sharper than intended. He turned, concern etching his face. I laid it all out: Mom's return, Dad's letters, the connection to his uncle. "Did you know about my dad and your uncle?" The color drained from his face. "Liam, I heard rumors as a kid. But when I met you, you were just this amazing guy starting over. I didn't want the past to ruin us." His admission hit like a punch. "You lied by omission. For 3 years." The argument escalated quickly. He tried to explain it was to spare me the pain of knowing my father had the same struggles I did but chose denial. I felt played, my identity crisis flaring up anew. Was our love built on a foundation of half-truths? I slept on the couch that night, the space between us feeling like miles. The next morning, I told him I needed time. Packing a bag, I went to stay with a friend. The decision hurt, but the shock was too fresh. In the following days, I processed alone, journaling the years of feeling abandoned. The relief that it wasn't my fault for being gay, but the new wound from Noah's silence. Mom called, worried. We met again, and she shared her own journey of acceptance, how she had learned to embrace people for who they loved. Her words helped, but the rift with Noah weighed heaviest. Friends urged me to hear him out, but the mistrust lingered. The emotional toll was immense. I questioned every memory of our relationship. Was any of it real? The crisis forced me to confront my own growth, from the scared teen in Ohio to the man who had fought for his place in the world. Yet, the betrayal made me wonder if I could ever fully trust again. Weeks passed in a blur of work deadlines and sleepless nights. My design projects suffered as my mind kept circling back to the revelations. Mom had decided to stay in Chicago for a while, renting a small apartment nearby. Our meetings became regular, slowly rebuilding something like a relationship. She told stories of her life after leaving, the struggles, the therapy, the way she had come to terms with her own role in the family's collapse. "Your father and I both failed you in different ways," she admitted one evening over dinner. "He couldn't accept his feelings, and I ran instead of fighting for you." Hearing her take responsibility eased some of the old anger, but it didn't fix the present. Meanwhile, Noah tried reaching out, texts, calls, even showing up at my office once with coffee and an apology. "I was wrong not to tell you," he said through the door when I wouldn't let him in fully. "But my love was never a lie. I fell for you because of who you are, not despite the past." His words tugged at me, but the hurt was still raw. I needed to understand my own feelings first. I took a weekend trip back to Ohio, driving the familiar roads to the old house. It was sold years ago, but standing outside brought the memories flooding back. The arguments, Dad's cold stares, Mom's tears. At the local diner, I ran into an old classmate who confirmed the rumors about Dad and Richard. The town had whispered, but no one spoke openly. It validated Mom's story, making the hidden truth feel even more real and painful. Returning to Chicago, I met Mom at the park again. She brought old letters from Dad, ones she had kept. Reading them, I saw a man tortured by the same feelings I had embraced. It humanized him in a way that surprised me. "He loved you, Liam, in his own broken way." The conversation turned to my life with Noah. I confessed the argument and my doubts. Mom listened without judgment. "Secrets have power only when they stay hidden. Maybe this is your chance to choose forgiveness, like I wish I had done sooner." Her advice resonated, but deciding to forgive Noah felt like a leap. That night, alone in my temporary place, I reflected on my journey. Coming out in a small town had been terrifying. Moving to Chicago had been liberation. Meeting Noah had felt like fate. Now, the past was forcing me to grow again, to separate my identity from my father's choices. I realized my crisis wasn't just about betrayal. It was about accepting that being gay didn't make me the cause of the family's pain. It was liberating and terrifying at once. The next day, I agreed to meet Noah at our favorite spot by the lake. The air was crisp as we walked. He looked exhausted, eyes full of regret. "I should have trusted you with the truth from the start," he said. "I was scared it would make you see me as part of the problem." We talked for hours, the misunderstanding unraveling. He hadn't sought me out because of the family link. It was coincidence that turned significant. His silence came from love, not malice. Still, the trust needed rebuilding. We didn't reconcile fully, but it was a start. I returned to Mom with a lighter step, the emotional layers peeling back. The slow process of healing began with small steps. Noah and I started seeing each other for coffee, keeping things light at first. The conversations were careful, avoiding the deep wounds until we were ready. Work helped distract me. A big project for a community center gave me purpose, designing spaces where people could feel accepted. Mom became part of my routine too, joining me for Sunday brunches. She opened up about her own identity struggles, how supporting me now was her way of making amends for the past silence. "Watching you live openly has been my greatest pride from afar," she told me. Those words filled some of the empty spaces inside. Yet the internal conflict raged. Nights were the hardest when doubts crept in. Was I repeating my father's pattern of hiding parts of myself? No, I had chosen openness. But the family legacy weighed heavy. One evening, over wine with Mom, she shared how the town's judgment had trapped everyone. "Your father wasn't evil. He was scared, like so many men back then." Her empathy surprised me. It pushed me to examine my anger toward Noah again. The sacrifice I had made by pulling away was necessary for clarity, but it also showed me how much I valued our bond. I missed the easy laughter, the way he understood my creative process without words. A turning point came during a difficult client meeting where prejudice surfaced subtly against my partnership with Noah on the project. It reminded me of the societal pressures that had broken my parents. That night I called Noah. "Can we talk for real?" We met at home for the first time in weeks. The apartment felt familiar yet changed. I laid out my fears, the fear of being defined by the past, the fear that our love carried too much baggage. He listened, then shared his side. Growing up with the family stories, recognizing my name, choosing silence to let our relationship stand on its own. It was a mistake. I see that now. But every day with you has been the best decision. His honesty cracked the last walls. We didn't rush back to normal, but we agreed to try rebuilding with full transparency. The psychological impact was profound. I had to confront how the abandonment shaped my fear of rejection in relationships. Therapy sessions, suggested by Mom, helped unpack it. Through it all, my growth became clear, from the boy who internalized blame to the man making conscious choices about love and family. Friends noticed the change, saying I seemed more grounded. Mom and I grew closer, talking about future visits. She even expressed interest in meeting Noah when the time was right. The tension eased gradually, replaced by cautious hope. However, one more confrontation was needed to fully move forward. The confrontation with the full past happened unexpectedly. Mom suggested a video call with some of Dad's old belongings digitized. During the call, more letters surfaced, revealing how close Dad had come to leaving for Richard. It was raw hearing the details. Noah joined one session at my request, sitting beside me as Mom spoke. The initial awkwardness melted as the truth bound us all in understanding. Noah shared what he remembered from his uncle, the sadness, the secrecy. It wasn't betrayal anymore. It was shared history. We can't change what happened, Noah said, but we can choose what we build now. Mom nodded, tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry for the pain, but seeing you two together gives me hope that the cycle breaks here. This moment marked a shift. The misunderstanding that had nearly destroyed us became the catalyst for deeper connection. I decided to sacrifice my pride and fully forgive. It wasn't easy. There were more honest talks about boundaries and communication. Noah and I moved back in together slowly, relearning each other without the shadows. My work flourished as the emotional clarity returned. Designing the community center became personal, incorporating spaces for LGBTQ youth, honoring the journey. Mom stayed involved, even helping with small details from her experiences. The family healing extended beyond us. I felt my identity strengthened, not defined by the past but informed by it. Challenges remained. A visit from an old Ohio relative brought up old prejudices, testing our resolve. Noah and I faced it together, standing firm in our love. The psychological growth was evident in how I handled it, with compassion instead of anger. Mom's presence provided the missing piece, her acceptance validating my path. As weeks turned to months, the happiness crept back. Small moments, cooking together, walks by the lake, rebuilt the romance. One evening, under the city lights, Noah took my hand. Thank you for giving us another chance. I squeezed back, the warmth real. The journey had been painful, but it forged something stronger. Mom watched from the sidelines, proud. Her return, though shocking at first, had become the key to my freedom. Life settled into a new normal filled with intention. Mom decided to split time between California and Chicago, becoming a steady presence. Our relationship blossomed into something adult and real, not the idealized childhood version, but honest. She attended my gallery shows, met my friends, and gradually got to know Noah over shared meals. The first dinner with all three of us was nerve-wracking but ended in laughter. Noah's warmth won her over, and her stories filled gaps for him. You two remind me of what love should be, she said quietly one night. Those words healed old scars. My career took off with the community center opening to acclaim, praised for its inclusive design. It symbolized my growth, turning pain into purpose. Noah and I collaborated on projects, our partnership professional and personal now stronger for the trials. The internal conflicts that once raged had quieted into wisdom. I understood that identity wasn't just about who I loved but how I chose to live with the truths uncovered. Family, once fractured, was redefining itself on my terms. Friends marveled at the change, noting how the crisis had matured me. One crisp fall day, we took a trip to the lakeside where our reconciliation began. Mom joined for part of it, then gave us space. As the sun set, painting the water in gold, Noah turned to me. Liam, these months showed me what real commitment means. Through the shock, the arguments, the forgiveness, I choose you every day. I pulled him close, the embrace carrying all the emotions we had navigated. The romantic moment felt earned, not easy. In his arms, with Mom's acceptance in the background, I felt whole. The journey from abandonment to this point had taught me resilience, the power of truth, and the courage to love openly. Looking back, the hidden truths hadn't destroyed me. They had liberated us all. Dad's secret no longer haunted. It humanized the past. Mom's return closed a chapter while opening new ones. Noah and I grew closer through the fire. Life in Chicago continued, vibrant and full. Yet, the experience left me reflective about the choices we all make under pressure. As I watched the waves with Noah beside me, peace settled in. The man I had become was ready for whatever came next, grounded in love and self-acceptance. True or false? Some family secrets are worth uncovering even if they nearly destroy the love you fought so hard for.